Coming up on the news, President back home after attending 6th Tokyo International Conference on African Development.
UN Environment Program implements training on green economy.
And South Africa school racist head. It's 7 o'clock. Hello, good evening, and many thanks for joining us here on GBC24. We are also live on GTV. This is News Hour, and my name is Abdul Hayi Mumin.
And my name is Akpene Avo Ajaja. Clement Sam is our signer for today.
In our first story, President John Dramani Mahama returned home on Monday from Nairobi, Kenya, where he attended the 6th Tokyo International Conference on African Development, TICAD.
The just-ended Nairobi summit, which is the first TICAD in Africa, focused on the expansion of Japanese investment in Africa to help with the development agenda. At the end of the summit, the leaders agreed with Japan to, among others, take measures to enhance the role of the private sector in development, including through increased private investment, entrepreneurship, business forum, public-private partnership and financing. Japan, on its part, announced that it will, in response, shift towards more foreign direct investment rather than aid, promising that its private sector will invest about $30 billion in Africa.
In other news, the United Nations Environment Program is implementing a 2-year project on green economy transitions in 5 African countries, including Ghana. The Environmental Protection Agency is the national institution selected to coordinate implementation. In line with this, the EPA has organized a training program for development planning officers of the regional coordinating councils in Accra.
A green economy aims at reducing environmental risk and ensuring sustainable development without degrading the environment. The project seeks to complement national efforts to translate green economy strategies from the national to the sub-national levels. To ensure an integrated planning system to implement green economy projects, the United Nations Environmental Program, in collaboration with German International Technical Cooperation, is undertaking a 2-year project on green economy transition in 5 African countries, including Ghana. The Environmental Protection Agency has been tasked to coordinate implementation of the project.
Now, illegal mining, which used to be something of the southern part of the country, has now engulfed the whole country. And so you go to Upper East, Upper West, all over the country. Illegal mining is devastating a lot of the land. So communities which were originally agricultural, have left the agriculture and they are now doing mining. And so food security has become a problem.
The project is focusing on 3 sectors: agriculture, energy, and waste management. It has been piloted in Tema, Kumasi, and the Tolon district. The training program for members of the Regional Coordinating Council was to create awareness and ensure effective monitoring and evaluation of the project's implementation. The Director of Plan Coordination at the National Development Planning Commission, Dr. Isaac Mensah-Bonsu, advised Ghanaians to avoid activities that destroy the environment, especially water bodies.
Management is a major issue. Once we are not able to manage the waste generated, it ends up in our environment. And once it ends up in the environment, it ends up polluting the environment. And that is why now we are having challenges even with our water bodies. Our activities are destroying the ability of some of our resources, like water resources, to support life. And therefore, we really need to redesign our strategies. We need to rethink how we can plan our development.
Currently, there are only 48 technical and vocational institutions as against 860 academic institutions across the country. The former Vice Chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba, Professor Jofos Anamwa-Mensah says the lack of adequate access to technical and vocational education, as well as the negative perception held by the general public that technical and vocational education training is for school dropout, was undermining the development of the nation. Professor Anamwa-Mensah was speaking at the Comfort Ntiamwa-Mensah Memorial Forum on vocational training for females in Accra.
Statistics indicate that technical and vocational skills account for more than 80% of the labor force in the country. Unfortunately, the country's education sector tends to focus more attention on academic work to the disadvantage of the acquisition of technical and vocational skills. Experts believe that a workforce with technical and vocational expertise is crucial to the rapid economic growth of a country. For example, it is believed that Ghana would be able to address the problem of unemployment if stakeholders in the education sector balance the provision of technical, vocational, and academic education. Currently, there are only 48 technical and vocational institutions as against 860 academic institutions across the country. The former Vice-Chancellor of the University of Education, Winneba, Professor Jofos Anamwa-Mensah, is of the opinion that to propel the country's economic growth, there is the need for a balance between academic work and vocational development.
The system is not helping us. It's not producing the kind of people that we require. No. People finish and there's nothing for them to do. If you look at the trajectory of the educational system from primary to junior secondary, a lot of people drop out.
The Executive Director of the National Vocational Training Institute, Engineer Stephen Amponsa, reiterated the fact that negative perception of parents about TVET make them not appreciate the opportunity offered by skills acquisition as a tool for wealth creation.
These are the 4 Ds that is deepening the negative perception of TVET. But you and I can attest to the fact that most of the assets we toil throughout our lives to acquire, the cars, our buildings, and whatever, when they are malfunctioning, we take it to these people we have branded as dropout.
Technical and vocational skills are yet to be made central to the educational system some 10 years after the Anamwa-Mensah Committee presented its recommendations on educational reforms in the country. The committee recommended, among others, the use of science and technology for radical transformation in the area of work and employment. Countries that have attained a higher level of development do so as a result of adopting the concept of technical and vocational education and training. The Memorial Forum, TVET, was instituted in honor of the late Comfort Ntiamwa-Mensah, founder of the vocational training for females and who was very instrumental in the establishment of the Council for Technical and Vocational Education and Training, COTVET. The 15th training session of West Africa Peace Building Institution has opened in Accra. For 4 weeks, about 75 delegates across West Africa will share, explore, and discuss issues related to peace and security in the region. The curriculum designed by the West Africa Peace Building Institute, WAPI, will equip them to develop effective peace programs peculiar to needs of their countries.
Peace and security, one of the goals of the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs), continues to be one challenge impeding development globally. Electoral disputes and political instability still persist in many parts of Africa. The partnership between West Africa Network for Peace Building (WANEP) and Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center has for the past decade created a platform for the exchange of expertise, experiences and insights in human security and devise early warning systems to conflicts. Over the years, the blend of participants from the academia, civil society, peace-building actors and the general public has enriched the course content for use on the continent. The executive director of WANEP said the training will give an insight into the processes for developing peace programs in a dynamic environment.
Because most of the African states have the same character in terms of its developmental processes and the character of leadership that were bequeathed to us at the end of colonialism, it makes sense to bring these Africans together and to also have faculty that have experienced some of this conflict that use them as an antidote to be able to teach the practitioners.
James Benson from Liberia and Alex Mutesi from Rwanda hope to generate appropriate responses to issues once they are back in their respective countries.
We want to see how we can develop more of these peace-building programs in Liberia and how we can also extend this to our local institution in terms of those institutions that provide formal education to Liberians.
I work with a project that is cross-border, and the experiences of all these people that have gathered here, the participants, will enhance the way I implement my project, will enhance the way I program and also identify projects.
Since its inception in 2002, about 600 participants across the globe have benefited from the peace-building course at the Kofi Annan Peacekeeping Training Center. For GBC24, Shirley Bewa reporting.
In State of the Race this evening, Ghana's political parties law mandates each party to have offices in at least 2/3 of the country's 216 districts, a requirement the EC has gone soft on over the years since the country returned to multi-party democracy in 1992. Early this year, the EC announced that it may consider barring those without adequate representation nationwide from participating in the upcoming general elections. Some political parties threatened to take the EC to court should it carry out its threat. GBC24 has been asking citizens on the streets of Accra if they knew about the offices of the political parties contesting this year's elections.
Should the EC go ahead with the threat of barring political parties which do not have representation in at least 2/3 of the districts in the country, some minor political parties will be at risk of being left out of the polls. Even in the capital, Accra, where most political parties have their head offices, it was difficult locating the offices of some of the parties. In Tamale, for instance, locating the party offices of the NPP and NDC was easy. However, locating the offices of other parties presented the news team with a tough task. None of those we spoke to could tell if parties such as the UFP, ACP, IPP, among others, had offices in the town. According to some of the executives of the parties with visible offices, many of the officials there serve on voluntary basis. For the big parties such as the NPP, CPP, and NDC, these offices are run all year round and not just during election years. The apparent absence of some political party offices even in the capital is perhaps the reason why some of the political parties threatened to take the EC to court when the Electoral Commission declared the possibility of disallowing parties without adequate representation from taking part in the upcoming elections. The chairman of the EC, Madame Charlotte Osei, says, since 1992, political parties have ignored the political parties law.
They are required to submit audited financial statements. But there's also so much more they are supposed to do under the political parties law. They are supposed to give expenditure accounts for after every election and every by-election. They are not supposed to get money from non-citizens of Ghana. But it's a law that political parties have chosen to ignore. When we started last year, we told them that we would start enforcing that law. we did not get much support from the media.
She says not all political parties have offices in at least 2/3 of the 216 districts in the country.
If you look into our strategic plan and the new organogram we have, there's a desk for political party oversight activities. We're also working with the UN in the JPAS project to help political parties build their own capacity to run themselves better as institutions. So all these things have to go hand in hand. We can't just go to no enforcement to full sanctions. It's a bit of an overkill. So
some of the political parties say the law is too restrictive and stiff and have called for an amendment. The NDC and the MPP have the highest number of officers across the country. Abdulhai Mumin, GBC24. And so on state of the race, President John Mahama rounded off his 4-day campaign tour of the northern region, convinced that Ghanaians would endorse him for a second term. He said the massive response he received during the tour of the region was yet another sign of the victory ahead for the NDC in the December 7th elections.
The last leg of the president's campaign tour in the north took him to Saboba, Kushehu, Karaga and Tripoli, where he addressed rallies of party supporters and sympathizers. President Mahama reiterated his call on the people of the northern region to vote massively for him and the party's parliamentary candidates in the region to enable him to continue with his transformational agenda. The president, on his arrival at Saboba, paid a courtesy call on the paramount chief of the area, Sheikh Binalibemi Kambonja, at his palace. The chief commended the government for expansion works at the Saboba hospital that has improved access to health in the area. President Mahama told the cheering crowd at Saboba that the government had imported 500 tractors to support farmers in their activities to make farming easier. This, he said, formed part of the government's effort to modernize agriculture, ensure food security, and enhance the incomes of farmers.
We must come together in cooperatives. If we have 20 farmers coming together, you can give it any name. Saboba Farmers Cooperative. You go and register it. Everybody has his shares. Everybody brings his share of the money. We're going to buy a tractor. You buy the tractor. Everybody who has a share is entitled to have his farm plowed and harrowed for him. When you finish, you go and plow and harrow for other people. In 2 years, you'd have paid the cost of the tractor. So let's try and come together.
President Mahama assured the people of government's commitment to the improvement of road infrastructure in the area. He said the Yendi Saboba Tripoli and Yendi Wapuli Tripoli roads have been awarded for construction. President Mahama also pledged to construct 2 concrete bridges over River Oti on the Saboba-Yendi road and also provide buses for the 2 senior high schools in the area.
We know the Oti River is close by, and I have asked the Irrigation Development Authority to come and do a feasibility study to do an agricultural irrigation dam on the Oti River. When we bring that field under irrigation, it will be able to provide an income to more than 1,000 farmers in Saboba area. And so that is a project that is on the agenda for my next term of office, and we will build that irrigation dam. Before I leave office, Saboba will have an irrigation dam providing land.
The president also made a stop at Tripoli. The chief of Tripoli, Jamda Malma, expressed regret at political violence that characterized the Tripoli by-election in 2009, saying the incident has tarnished the image of the area, but expressed his determination to redeem the image of the area. He urged politicians to conduct themselves in an atmosphere of peace. The president later addressed a rally at Tripoli where thousands of residents defied a heavy downpour to meet him. He took the time to explain government's agenda for the area, adding that he had laid the foundation for a better Ghana and should be given a second term to enable him complete his work.
Let's move to the camp of the NPP now. The flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party NPP, Nana Akufo-Addo, began his campaign tour of the Upper East region by worshipping with members of the Sacred Heart Cathedral in Bolgatanga. Nana Addo and his entourage met with some traditional leaders in the region to announce their presence.
The NPP flag bearer Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo said the party has a proven track record that cannot be glossed over in the country's politics and deserves another chance to prove itself. He said the party has a winning team that is capable of transforming the country's ailing economy. Nana Addo took the opportunity to outline a number of programs and policies of the party, stressing on its resolve to go beyond the one district, one factory policy to one village, one dam to improve on the country's agri sector.
When we are developing our economy, we are also going to develop our educational system, because the two go hand in hand. We're going to make sure that every young Ghanaian has the opportunity to go to school, and we're going to make it possible for everybody to have access to senior high school education.
Nana Addo said the NPP in its 2012 manifesto proposed the establishment of the Northern Development Authority to be used as a vehicle to accelerate the pace of development in northern Ghana. He said this formidable agenda, which the ruling NDC calls Savannah Accelerated Development Authority (SADA), has been poorly managed. He said if given the nod, he would re-establish SADA and work to revive all defunct state enterprises, particularly those in the northern Ghana. He however called on the chiefs to support this worthy call by voting for the NPP. The acting president of the Regional House of Chiefs, Naba Johnson Awini Azebere, welcomed the NPP flag bearer and his team to the region.
We have got, for me, and I'll say so without any reservation, the best team available in Ghanaian politics today to develop our country. Some of them, some of the key people are here, meeting with you. We've got high quality men and women who are given the opportunity. We can turn Ghana around.
After addressing members of the Regional House of Chiefs, Nana Addo and his team proceeded to the Nabdam district, where they paid homage to the chiefs in the area. At Sakote, Nana Addo paid a courtesy call on the paramount chief of the area, Naba Sigri Biwon, at his palace. A mini rally was held at Pelungu, where Nana Akufo-Addo addressed party supporters.
Hello again, my name is Morris Ogbete. In business tonight, the Ghana Gas Company Limited has ruled out any significant impact of its 10-day shutdown of the Atwabo gas processing plant on the country's power supply. The company is expected to shut down the facility from Wednesday, August 31st, 2016 for routine maintenance.
A statement on the exercise indicated that the plant has been in operation for more than 12,000 hours since pre-commissioning and commissioning activities started in 2014. It further noted the maintenance is to facilitate warranty assurance on the installed equipment. The development is expected to affect the quantity of gas supply to various thermal plants for power generation. It is also anticipated that the development may lead to increased cost of power production from light crude oil. The corporate communications manager of Ghana Gas, Alfred Ogbami, says the shutdown would not have a long-term effect on the price mix and the supply of power. He added that Ghana Gas Company has improved on its operations
hence the basis to set the maintenance period for 10 days this time round. The company early this year undertook a similar planned maintenance of its Atuabo gas processing plant, which lasted for 14 days. This shutdown comes 3 days after workers of the Ghana National Gas Company Limited protested at Atuabo over poor working conditions. Their demonstration was subsequently described by the company as illegal. The workers are due to meet management on their issues.
Minister of Finance Seth Tekpe says Ghana's current debt position is still sustainable and manageable. He said the debt level has dropped from 71.6% in 2015 to 63% as at May this year. This he attributed to measures being put in place by government which are yielding results.
The government's path to fiscal deficit, manageable fiscal deficit, is what you see up there. And why is this important? As we said, if government lives within its means, it borrows less, because a major contributor to the domestic debt is the financing of the deficit. So when we all, cry about, the debt levels, it is because of deficit financing. But we must raise revenues in order that we borrow less, because a deficit is revenue less expenditure. And, remove ghost names, remove fake contracts and whatever, put systems like gift miss and things in place, electronic checking of, payrolls and the rest, which is coming out with some of the anomalies, so that we can improve, on our performance as a country.
And still in business, the Bank of Ghana has urged the media to be circumspect in their reportage on matters concerning the economy. According to the central bank, there is a tendency on the part of a section of the media to give unbalanced information without doing the necessary checks. The bank says a wrong news item could be misleading and possibly scare away investors. The Director of Communications of the Bank of Ghana, Mr. Bernard Otabil, gave the advice at Fumisua near Kumasi at a training workshop for selected journalists. The two-day advanced training workshop was attended by selected journalists from the Ashanti, Bunahafo, Northern, Upper East and Upper West regions. The workshop was a sequel to an earlier one held for journalists in the southern sector of the country. Participants were taken through topics such as monetary policy of the Bank of Ghana, regulating the microfinance industry, supervision of deposit money, as well as the role of journalists in economic reporting. The president of the Journalist for Business Advocacy, Mr. Suleiman Mustafa, noted that since its formation about 8 years ago, GBA has not only facilitated training of journalists to report accurately on business and economic issues, but succeeded in shaping some government policies on trade and economy.
JBA started in 2008, and we've had a lot of engagement with policy makers on a number of issues. And I wouldn't want to restate some of the successes we have chalked so far, but I can tell you we've had positive engagement, positive dialogue with policymakers on a number of issues. Even some of it has to do with reforms in the macroeconomic environment.
The Zone 7 area manager of EcoBank, Mr. Abraham Edukwating, noted that media report on the economy informs business decisions by some local and foreign investors with both positive and negative consequences.
The investor communities also benefit from accurate and quality financial reporting, which ultimately improves investor relations and confidence in the economy.
The Director of Communications of the Bank of Ghana, Mr. Bernard Otabil, entreated journalists to specialize in various subjects, particularly trade, economics, and business. He said, once journalists are well versed in a subject, their reports earn the trust of the economic and business community. Let's go to the interbank market and get latest figures of how the local currency is performing. let's do some insurance news. Now, agricultural insurance policy protects the production capital against extreme weather patterns and disaster. Now, introduced in 2011, the Ghana Agricultural Insurance Pool has Ghana Reinsurance as its reinsurer, where premiums were shared as well as risks pay out to farmers.
The formation of 17 non-life insurance companies formed the Ghana Agricultural Insurance Pool. The aim of the pool is to protect farmers and other players in the agricultural chain from negative effects of climate change. In a case of payout for risk, the reinsurer, which is Ghana Reinsurance Company, takes a certain percentage and the rest shared among the 17 non-life insurance company. The broad range of agricultural insurance products starts with Weather Index Insurance (WII). In this instance, payouts are determined by rainfall levels during key phases of crop development. This is within the defined proximity to weather station run by the Ghana Meteorological Agency. An example is, if there are more than 12 consecutive dry days, it will automatically trigger a payout to policyholders. In an interview with GBC24, the General Manager of Ghana Agriculture Insurance Pool, Alhaji Ali Mohammed Ketu, said the policy covers crops such as maize, millet, soya, sorghum, as well as caged livestock.
Agric insurance is basically taking care of the plants or the crops while they're on the field, then the livestock during their production stage, against unforeseen circumstances like uncontrolled pests and diseases, risks that the farmers might encounter during the production stage.
He said, though 5 years since its inception, Agric Insurance is faced with some challenges, and about 10,000 farmers have signed on to the Agric Insurance policy, even though it is seasonal.
Come to farming, it's a new area, one, and two, the uptake is a bit on the low side. So we also have bushfires, which threatens the farmers. We also have uncontrolled pests and diseases, which affects the farmers. Then when it comes to livestock or poultry, let me be specific with poultry, we have Newcastle and others which are also bedeviling that industry.
With regards to claims, he said about 162 communities in the northern region have made claims among others. He then explained the entire process of Agric Insurance and how claims are made.
If there's an insurance where I know I have a shoulder to lean on in the bad years or bad season, that will urge me on to even increase my farm size. Agric Insurance, though we are providing full security to boost our production, but we look at the farmers in different areas. We have the smallholder farmers, we have aggregators, we have agro-processors, we have nucleus farmers. So when a farmer approaches us, we have to know if it's a smallholder farmer, we are going to give him drought index insurance to cover either his maize, sorghum, millet. So if this triggers are met, then there's what we call a payout.
Aside funding, lack of products to satisfy all sectors of farming and regions in Ghana were mentioned as challenges. Currently, the 3 regions of the north, Dunahafo and the Volta region are covered.
And that was insurance news brought to you by SIC Live. My name is Maurice Ogbete. Good evening.
In health news tonight, the Volta Regional Director of Health Services, Dr. Joseph Nwete, has underscored the role of nursing and midwifery training colleges in healthcare delivery. He said such institutions will ensure that more midwives are trained and will sustain the gains chopped up in the maternal health in the country.
Volta Nursing and Midwifery Training College is one of the 9 health assistant clinical training schools established by the Ministry of Health in 2006 throughout the country. The aim was to train motivated and skillful middle-level cadre who will assist healthcare professionals like nurses and midwives in healthcare delivery in a clinical setup. The Keta Health Assistant Clinical Training School started with 55 students at Domogbo Angloga in an abandoned rehabilitated oil exploration structure. The pioneer principal of the college, Mrs. Charity Katae, said the college has in the last 10 years churned out 935 nurse assistants who are working in the various health facilities in the Volta region and beyond. The Deputy Volta Regional Minister, Mr. Francis Ganyaglo, commended the staff, students and management of the college for their ingenuity, commitment and hard work.
This young college is constantly in motion, running the day-to-day activities, seeking external resources and partnerships, creating visibility for the college, and ensuring that the right caliber of nurses and midwives are churned out to help Mother Ghana.
The Volta Regional Director of Health Services, Mr. Joseph Tainwete, encouraged the trainees to be studious at all times.
Without the training colleges, there can be no meaningful healthcare anywhere in the world, and by extension, quality service provision. This, therefore, calls for cooperation and support of stakeholders towards the training institutions to enable them execute their mandate effectively to train quality human resources for the region and the country at large to enhance our healthcare delivery.
The cloth designed for the anniversary was officially unveiled.
Good evening, an update from the world of sports. I'm Theophilus Sampa. 13 Black Stars players turn up today to start preparations for their AFCON final qualifier against Rwanda. The Black Stars have held their first training session at the Accra Sports Stadium as part of preparations for their final 2017 AFCON qualifying match against the Amavubis of Rwanda. Coach Avam Grant welcomed back 14 players, including the likes of winger Mubarak Wakaso, Baba Rahman, John Boy, among others. Local-based players including Mohamed Kadiri and Wild Stars goalkeeper Richard Ofori featured in the 4-hour training session. A delegation from the Ghana Football Association, led by President Kwesi Nyantichi, was present to officially welcome the players.
We are happy that you are here. Unfortunately, there were some issues about payment for tickets to fly you down. And some of you, the foreign-based players, some of you who are here and others who are not here, contributed monies to ensure that you came. So I want to thank you very much for showing a very high sense of patriotism.
Coach Avam Grant is expecting the rest of the players by tomorrow. Ghana has already qualified for the Africa Cup of Nations to be staged in Gabon, but will be desperate to maintain their impressive qualifying form after picking up 13 points from their first 5 games of the qualification series. Accra Sofogaf star coach Sergio Trego, just 2 months after his appointment, the tough-talking Portuguese who took over from Kenichi Yachuhashi has flattered to deceive since he assumed this role 8 weeks ago. Assistant coach Yao Preko has been handed the role in an interim capacity pending the appointment of a substantive trainer with just 3 games to end the season. The national beach soccer team, the Black Sharks, recorded a vital away win in the first leg of qualifiers for this year's Cup of Nations for beach soccer. The Sharks beat the Harambee Sun Stars by 10 goals to 3. The clash in Mombasa, Kenya was the first leg of the qualifiers for the 2016 edition of the CAF Beach Soccer Nations Cup. The Kenyans were the first to score. But Richard Osa and Alfred Tosu scored to end the first half on a high. In the second department, the Sharks banged in 4 additional goals to end the period 6 goals to 3. The Sharks put the icing on the cake in the third quarter as they scored to end the game 10 goals to 3. Alfred Tosu scored 3 goals, whilst Richard Osa had 4 goals to his credit, with defender Hussein Mohammed scoring 2. Captain Michael Sema scored 1. Ghana will host Kenya on the 17th of September in the second leg.
After Ghana game, after 3 weeks, when we go to Ghana or come back, we will start a league. And I said again, Mombasa County Government, County 001, we are going to have the first facility of beach soccer. come by December, we'll have the facility ready. So this one will make us play more games.
We are going to qualify for Africa. We are definitely, they are coming there on the 17th September. We are going to repeat the victory there. Then from there, our man is qualified for the World Cup.
The winner on aggregate progresses to the tournament to be staged in Nigeria in December this year. The National Sports College will start awarding degrees and diplomas in sports administration, sports medicine, sports psychology, and physical education soon. The Youth and Sports Minister, Nilante Vanderpoel, says discussions to make the Winneba Sports College an affiliate of the University of Ghana are ongoing.
The Winneba Sports College Conference Hall has been refurbished with a 200 seating capacity. The Omahini of the Futu traditional area, Nenyin Gate VII, was happy with the project, saying it will cut the huge sums of money hitherto were paid for the hiring of conference halls. The Youth and Sports Minister, Nilante Vanderpoel, said his outfit is in talks with the Vice Chancellor of the University of Ghana to make the college an affiliate of the university. The director of the Winneba Sports College, Mr. Erasmus Adoko, appealed to the various sports associations and other organizations to hold their training programs, meetings and conferences at the college.
The senior national rugby football team, the Eagles, will play their counterparts from Niger in an international friendly on Sunday. The encounter is part of preparations of the team for the upcoming international competitions. The national rugby football team, the Eagles, has 2 international friendly encounters against Niger and Togo in September. This is put together by the president of the Ghana Rugby Football Union, Herbert Mensah. The only international exposure for Ghana Rugby has been the annual Africa Rugby Tournament, that is either a 7th or a 15th tournament. The Eagles earlier this year in Lomé, Togo, won bronze medals during the Africa Rugby Men's 7th tournament. The upcoming clash with Niger will take place at the Accra Sports Stadium on Sunday, September 4, as a 15th match. The encounter with Togo will be on the 10th of September and will be a 7th event. That's all for sports.
Welcome to the arts and entertainment segment of the news. Ben Bracco has toured and performed in many cities across the globe. He has played and recorded with top Ghanaian and African musicians, including Alfred Bannerman, Paul Greenstein, C.K. Mann, Pat Thomas, Bessa Simmons, A.B. Crensel, among others. Ben is still performing and is set to release more albums. Ben Bracco took an active interest in the music and entertainment world at a very young age. With a rich academic background, it is no wonder that his musical talents stand out. His debut album, Baya, brought his talent to African music lovers worldwide. GBC24 Arts Desk caught up with Ben Bracco.
I've been around, I'm involved in so many things, and I'm also involved with cultural issues and charity work. So, I'm doing all kinds of things, but I'm still recording. By the grace of God, this year I'll come out with something.
He will always be regarded as one of the pioneers of modern highlife and indeed one of the forefathers of popular Ghanaian cultural music.
In our culture, you can talk about anything. You can talk about love and sex without being profane. Okay? But if we follow the hip-hop culture, and these people, they've lost their culture. Ghana, we have to really rediscover ourselves, otherwise we are lost.
Ben Bracco is acknowledged for his role in sustaining high-life music.
Today in entertainment history, we bring you a song by Christopher Cross, Sailing, and Notorious B.I.G., More Money, More Problem.
And that's it on News Hour at 10:30. We shall return with News Tonight.
Yes.